wrestling fans.
All right, let's focus on business.
You ungrateful garbage!
My botch.
How you doing this evening, gentlemen? Listen up, wrestling fans.
That's right, listen up. This is Strong Honor, a New Japan and Ring of Honor Pro Wrestling podcast. But today, I'm also going to talk a little bit about Rev Pro, a couple of Global Wars shows that they had last week. Going to talk about those because we got a lot of New Japan stars over there as well. Hello, I am Tommy Stryker. I host this and the Best Pro Wrestling podcast. You can find them both on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, wherever you get your podcasts, iHeartRadio. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get those podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating if you like the show. If you like me talking wrestling here, you can listen to, like I said, my other show, the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, and we're going to be talking our big predictions for Survivor Series this weekend, as well as NXT TakeOver in Houston, the War Games event. So check that out. Be recording those a little bit later today, but lots to talk about here on the New Japan and Ring of Honor side, as well as the Rev Pro stuff here, too. I'm contemplating maybe talking spoiler-free on the Rev Pro stuff, just because I know a lot of people haven't seen it, and I want to encourage people to check them out. They have a streaming service, and they have the videos up there that you can watch. It's less than $10 to per month to subscribe to this streaming service. Now, I would recommend just subscribing for 1 month and watching these shows that they put on, and then every time you see, and then unsubscribe maybe after you're done watching, and then once in a while when you see a show of theirs that you want to watch, then resubscribe. I should take my own advice on this. I just kind of let the subscription roll over, and so I'm one that constantly supports them, even though I only really watch a show of theirs maybe every couple of months or so. But I would recommend definitely checking those out. So I want to talk about those in a little bit. Last week on the show, we talked New Japan, of course. We all the fallout from Power Struggle and what's setting up for, or what's been set up for the January 4th Wrestle Kingdom 12. So far, of course, the big news, Kenny Omega being challenged by Chris Jericho. Talked about all of that and stuff. The Jay White, the Switchblade challenging Hiroshi Tanahashi. But what we didn't talk about, and it was because I didn't see it, was the post-match press conferences. New Japan, after their matches, the wrestlers go to the back and they stand in front of an assembled press and they answer some questions. I.e., they cut some promos backstage after the matches. And what was great is that on New Japan's YouTube page, they released subtitled versions, I should say, of these promos, and so I got to watch those this week, and it was just a lot of fun. I'm going to post a link in the description of the show, and as well as on the website stronghonor.com, Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.com. I'll post a link to this YouTube playlist from this New Japan YouTube page. It's a full playlist of all of these backstage interviews, backstage promos, whatever you want to call them, post-match interviews by the press. And they all talk about the basically what's coming up and what happened in these matches, and it was a fun insight into what's going to be coming up for all of the wrestlers. So I want to talk about that today. As far as World Tag League goes as well, we previewed that thing fully last week. Now I have not filled out a prediction bracket yet, and I'm definitely going to do that because me and the other guys on the show on Best Pro Wrestling Podcast, Taco and Joe, we like to have little friendly competitions to see who comes out best in our predictions. If you want to follow along, it's pretty easy. So you got your A block and your B block. Now, if anytime a team wins a match, the team gets 2 points. If we predict a match correctly, we just get 1 point. But we get bonus points if we predict how many points a team has at the end of the tournament. So So, like, say, for instance, Juice Robinson and Sami Callihan, let's say they get a total of 6 points, 3 wins in the tournament, and I predict that exactly. I have that 6 points, a correct prediction. That would be 5 bonus points. If you correctly predict the winners of each block, that is an additional, I believe, 10 points is what we did for the G1 Climax. And then if you predict the winner of the entire thing correctly, that is an additional 10 points as well. At least I think that's what we did. And since I'm saying it on the podcast now, that's what we're going with. So yeah, 1 point for a correctly predicted win, 5 points for matching the entire score at the end of the tournament, 10 points for the A block and B block winners, and another 10 points if you predict the exact winner of the entire tournament. So, like I said, we previewed the whole thing last week, but I kind of want to just kind of do a off the top of my head, looking at these blocks here, kind of thinking out loud, kind of seeing who's going to come out, who could come out on top on the A and B block. So yeah, in the A block, Juice Robinson, Sami Callihan. I think they got a chance to go quite far here in the A block, but probably not a candidate to win it. Of course, you got Ten Cozy in there, Hiroyoshi Tenzan and Satoshi Kojima. We do the Kojima tweet at the end of the show every week. They're a legacy tag team in New Japan, and one of the standouts here in the A block, the other big standout in the A block, possible winners here, Evil and Sonata, 2 guys that currently hold the never openweight 6-man titles, so probably not. They're probably going to have a 6-man title match at Wrestle Kingdom, but another big name tag team from the A block. Those are probably your top 3 teams there. You got Goto and Yoshihashi, a big chaos team there, and really nothing going on for Goto right now, although he did challenge Suzuki for the never openweight title. We'll get to that when I talk about these Power Struggle post-match promos there. But that's another team that could stand them to get some points too. So, but my favorite right now, just thinking off the top of my head, coming out of the A block, is probably Ten Cozy. They've been built up a little bit here on Power Struggle, had a big win over the Bullet Club in a 6-man match. And, probably them and the Juice Robinson, Sami Callihan team, probably your 2 favorites out of the A block. For the B block, it's very competitive. Makabe teaming up with Hinari, a young lion. Obviously, having a young lion on your team means you're probably going to lose most of your matches. But I imagine we're going to see a lot from Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb. Jeff Cobb making his debut for New Japan. So those 2 look to be good, look to get some wins here. But you got those 3 teams that battled for the IWGP heavyweight titles in the Destruction shows, as well as King of Pro Wrestling. You've got War Machine in here. You got the Gorillas of Destiny, as well as the current champions, the Killer Elite Squad. So a very competitive B block. Like I said, you got Makabe and Hinari to take losses, David Finlay and Kitamura in there to take losses. You got Ishii teaming up with Yano. Yano will take some losses, although you could get some upsets in there with the shenanigans of Yano, and of course the credibility of a guy like Ishii. Of course, you got the best friends in the B block. Trent Beretta teaming up with Chucky T, Chuck Taylor, his partner stateside and current partner in New Japan, Ring of Honor as well. So some interesting things going on in the more competitive B block. Of course, the Killer Elite Squad, current champs, look for them to have a big run. But again, nothing going on right now for Michael Elgin at Wrestle Kingdom. So look for Elgin and Cobb to go far, probably in the B block. Of course, you can't count out War Machine and Gorillas of Destiny, who had the big tag team push at the end of the year. But again, this being a more competitive block, and remember how tired we got of seeing those 3 teams go against each other in those 3-way matchups earlier this fall? Well, now they saved these 1-on-1 or 2-on-2 rather tag matches for this end of year tag tournament. So now those matchups, those 1-on-1 matchups team wise, are fresh. So we'll get to see War Machine versus the Killer Elite Squad 1-on-1. We'll get to see War Machine versus Gorillas of Destiny 1-on-1. one-on-one and so on and so forth. So that's kind of your second preview. We did the big preview last week of the unveiling of the World Tag League blocks and my kind of off the top of my head half-assed prediction for World Tag League. But I'll do my official predictions sometime this week. I'll get it done before the first official shows for the World Tag League starting this weekend. Big weekend for pro wrestling. We got the World Tag League starting on the 18th. That runs all the way through December 11th. But then, of course, also this weekend, NXT TakeOver and, of course, WWE Survivor Series. So a big pro wrestling weekend coming up. So yeah, let's move on to these power struggle post-match promos, these press conferences. I really enjoyed watching this. Like I said, the link will be in the description. Make sure you check these out. I've got some nice audio here too. I've got from the English speaking parts of these promos, the good stuff. I got some good stuff in here from the English speakers. It's been a while since I've had a nice block of sound bites to play here on the show, so I've got some of that. But I encourage you to go back and watch the Japanese ones with the subtitles, because watching the body language and the way these guys interact with each other and with the challengers and whatnot, I think it really tells a story here. Interesting, in Naito's post-match promo, he talked about how he's not ready for Okada, yet the World Tag League is coming. Of course, Naito did not end up having a partner for the World Tag League. He is not in the World Tag League. But he talks about the World Tag League. Evil does the same. Of course, Evil teaming up with Sonata in World Tag League, so both of those guys talked about that in their promo. And then Kojima, he says, why can't Tenkozy be champs again? We just got a big win in the big six-man here versus the Bullet Club, and so why can't Tenkozy go on a run? So that's kind of obviously building up some momentum for Tenkozy going into the tournament. Then Hiromu Takahashi, he talks about first, before he makes his challenge for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, he says, let's have a party to celebrate the 1-year anniversary since returning from excursion. So he wants to have a big party. And of course, the party is him going out and challenging for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title, which ends up becoming kind of a four-way. Ends up becoming definitely a four-way. So after that challenge, he goes in and he does another press conference, another promo. He says he's lost to all three of those guys, and this could be a chance for him to get revenge on all three of them in this four-way. Then he fantasizes about holding that belt again in the packed Tokyo Dome in front of that hot crowd and that big audience. And then he collapses and falls to the ground and he starts screaming no, and he just kind of goes crazy for a while. Then he says, I will break everything down and I will destroy everything. And so Hiromu just wanting that title back, but then kind of going crazy. He's the ticking time bomb. You never know when he's going to go off. Then the Will Ospreay promo. He was very, very upset.
That was complete and utter bullshit. My shoulder was up. Fucking shoulder was up. No!
And so he's complaining, he's upset. And that's another interesting thing, too, about these promos. That's they take place backstage right after the match, right after they come backstage. If it's a post-match challenge, it takes place right after that. This, of course, happened right after his match where he lost the title to Marty Scurll. So he's understandably very upset. But then he talks about the four-way and how that plays right into his style. You got to have your head on a swivel, but he can, he's the high flyer. He's the speed guy. And so that plays into him. So he talked about that. He said, fine, let Scurll have his moment. Even though my shoulder was up, I'm going to get this thing back at the Tokyo Dome. So yeah, I enjoyed that. And what I was getting at too, since these take place right after the matches or whatever, you can oftentimes hear the celebration, the winner's music playing in the background, or the next match getting ready to go, or the like I said, the whoever won the match celebrating with the crowd. So it's kind of fun to kind of have that atmosphere going on during the promos, even though it can be a bit distracting from time to time. Kushida talking again about the four-way. He says he was reminded how hard it is to defend the IWGP Junior title when he was out there, when he was witnessed Will Ospreay just lose the belt after just winning it from Kushida. And he says he plans on winning it back before the belt starts to stink like anybody else, or until it's been on anybody else long enough to gather their stench. So Kushida showing a bit of attitude there, but wanting to get the belt back before it's been away from him for too long. Zack Sabre Jr. was very upset because him and the Suzuki Gun Juniors lost that 10-man tag to the likes of Juice Robinson and Hirai Kawato.
That little dickhead Kawato. Little fucking prick. Hey, you want that kid? You want that kid to learn about pro wrestling? Give him a one-on-one singles match with me and I'm gonna stretch you, little bastard. Little fucking prick. I'm gonna ruin our little victory parade. Hey, Juice Robinson, I beat you in LA easy, mate. Yeah? I was main eventing shows a decade before you were even scrubbing the New Japan dojo. So you want one more go, you bring it on, dickhead.
I just love Zack Sabre. He didn't take the fall, but he's pissed off that he lost the match, that he was involved in such a shit show. He just, Juice, I'll take you on any time, and you little shithead, the Hirai Kawato, you young lion, I'll stretch you anytime you want. So I love both of the Suzuki Gun promos, this one here and then the Minoru Suzuki one later. Fucking fantastic. I see why they're over so much in Japan, as well as obviously how much over they are for their in-ring stuff, especially Suzuki, of course. But the Suzuki Gun Juniors in here, fucking Tai Chi. He says the junior tag team tournament finals are 2 shits versus 2 shits. Everyone's weaker than me. Shits and shits. I can't say anything else but shit because it's all shit. So I love this because New Japan is a promotion geared towards adults. It's not a kid's promotion. It's not for the faint of heart. Again, it's a lot like MMA. When you have these MMA press conferences and promos, just like these things, these backstage quote-unquote press conferences, you're going to get language. You're going to get raw emotion. And I like that. It adds a sense of realism. Pissed off adults tend to swear. So I like Zack Sabre Jr. being pissed off and saying fuck these guys. I like Tai Chi calling the junior tag tournament finals 2 shits versus 2 shits. And then Yoshinobu Kanemaru, he starts talking shit about Tiger Mask and Jushin Thunder Liger. He's like, when will you guys stop wearing costumes? And he's being all sarcastic and shitty about it. I could pull those costumes back anytime I want. Then El Desperado steps in and says, I know what masked men hate, and that's having your mask teared and pulled off. And so just the Suzuki Gun Juniors just getting shitty and just getting that heat. I just really enjoyed that part of these backstage promos. Then, of course, since we're talking the juniors, we had the junior tag finals where Sho and Roppongi 3K beat Super 69 ACH and Ryusuke Taguchi. Super 69. So after the match, they're devastated. They come in to the press conference area and they lay on the floor in kind of a pseudo 69 position. And ACH is 100% serious. He's selling, laying on his back, talking about how, we lost the tournament, but we didn't lose the crowd. The crowd is behind us. Their hearts are with us. And then fucking Taguchi just starts talking really goofy. He's like, yes, we didn't have it here. We lost. Our team failed. And what does he say? He says we have to brush up our sexual works. Our sexual side. And then he kind of starts leaning towards ACH like he's going to roll over on top of him in his 69 position. And then right at the last second, ACH is playing like oblivious to the whole thing because obviously he doesn't understand Japanese. And so he is oblivious. And so right as Taguchi looks like he's about to roll on top of him, ACH flags down a young lion to help him up. And so ACH, oblivious to this weird sexual 69 thing that's going on from Taguchi, and he just gets up and has a young lion help him off. So I thought that was very entertaining from your kind of mid-card comedy tag team there. But coming out of a fun match between those two versus Roppongi 3K. Then Cody, I should just say, he challenges Ibushi in the back after his big loss to Hiroshi Tanahashi. If I can get it to fire here.
what we need, right? See, I need you. I need you to stand across from me at the Tokyo Dome. I need you to be my opponent at Wrestle Kingdom. What did I say? Always pick a fight that's big enough to matter, but small enough that you can win. Well, I'm already the biggest box office in the industry, and you're a small part. So get ready to kiss the ring, and get ready to get on your knees when you do it. Sleep on it, stud.
Sleep on it. So you can hear Ibushi selling and moaning at the end. The whole time Ibushi is sitting on the floor. He's devastated from this loss to Tanahashi. And here comes Cody. And at the beginning, I didn't have it in the audio there, but he says, Kenny didn't want me to come do this here. So it's Cody playing the perfect heel, talking about how I need you to stand across the ring from me because I need a big time opponent. But then Cody, he's taking him lightly. He thinks he can beat Ibushi in this situation at the Tokyo Dome. And then, of course, he's cocky. He's saying he's the biggest draw in the world right now, which will come into play a little bit later when we get into Kenny Omega's promos, not only from this, but from the next day or so when he was cutting some promos. Then Hiroyoshi Tenzan, the other half of Tenkozy, he talks about World Tag League coming up and wanting to go far with Satoshi Kojima. But then he talks about the passing of an important mentor and friend. I'll try to get the name right here. Daigo Tetsunosuke. I'm sorry, I'm really messing up this name. But he was living in Calgary. Like I said, an important mentor and friend to Tenzan. He just recently passed away, so he cut a nice little memorable. Talked about his history with him in Tenzan's life and talked about that. Then Togi Makabe, he was involved in that 6-man versus Cody and the Bullet Club. He calls Cody a shit dick bastard. He doesn't take the American Nightmare stuff seriously at all. Of course, it was Kojima who got the win over Chase Owens in that match with the big lariat. But I just loved Makabe just mocking the hell out of Cody, just not taking Cody seriously at all. Then the Young Bucks tease moving up to heavyweight. We've kind of talked about this possibility on this thing, and the Young Bucks definitely bringing this up in their promos in New Japan now.
Listen. We don't have to come and do these long-ass tours that nobody cares about. No. They can't afford us anymore. That's why we come here for the big shows, because that's the only time New Japan Pro Wrestling can afford the premier tag team, the best tag team, the elite tag team.
We want the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team belts back, and we want to become the first ever 7-time champions. And once we do that, I think
there's nothing else.
I think we retire our jerseys up in the ceiling, and maybe we upgrade
nothing else
to the
left.
next portion of our careers, Nick.
Else left for the Young Bucks to prove here in the junior division for New Japan Pro Wrestling. You see, we are the best tag team of all time. Mm-hmm. And you guys are stupid if you don't realize it.
Yeah, we're going to be the first guys that work here that make $1 million on our downside. It's unheard of. We're shoot rich. My kids are set for life.
Good luck, guys.
Okay, I'm putting in a water slide.
Good luck.
I am putting in a water slide. Okay, let's get out of here.
They're shoot rich. They're going to get $1 million on their downside. They only have to come in for the big shows. What cocky heels those Young Bucks are. What a lot of fun that was. All those points talked about there, becoming the record holder, the 7-time. Nobody's been the 7-time junior heavyweight tag team champions. They're going to do that, make some history, then move up to the heavyweight division. That sounds fun. Looking forward to that Roppongi 3K match. And if maybe Roppongi 3K doesn't. Maybe Roppongi 3K retains against the Young Bucks, and the Young Bucks are mad and they have to chase that elusive 7th reign for a while throughout the year. Or maybe the Young Bucks do get the win and Roppongi 3K have to chase them for a little bit before the Young Bucks move up to heavyweight. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. Then my favorite promo of the series of these was Suzuki's promo. Of course, he just beat Yano in the bull rope match, beat the shit out of him for 10 minutes, pinned him after the Gotch pile driver. So he comes in calling Yano a pig bastard and says he won't fight just anyone for the Never belt. Goto comes in and challenges Suzuki. Suzuki says, "Go home, boy. This is not a place for weak men like you." Of course, Suzuki already defeated Goto earlier in the year, but of course, there was all the Suzuki Gun shenanigans. That's been the theme throughout the year since Suzuki won the title. He won the title from Goto back way earlier in the year because it was Goto versus Shibata at Wrestle Kingdom last year, where Goto won the Never Openweight title, and then almost immediately Goto lost it to Suzuki and the Suzuki Gun shenanigans. So Goto wants another chance here. Suzuki does not take him seriously. He says, "I've already beat you. You are less than trash." Then he demands that Goto get on his knees. He mocks him. He waves the title in his face. Then he says, "How about let's fight now? Come and fight me now with my broken body after I've just had a match with Yano. Come on and fight me now." He's trying to goad him into doing something dastardly. But Goto says, "You'll see. I'll make you agree to a match." And Suzuki just laughs at him. You gotta go see this promo. Check this out, because the body language here, Suzuki just being a cocky prick, and Goto just looks like he's intimidated by this thing. Like, Goto's promo kind of sucks here. So I'm interested to see if they come up with a stipulation for this match, because that's kind of been the theme with Suzuki's big time never title defenses. He's had a couple of lumberjack matches. He's just had this bull rope match. So kind of my prediction here, and I don't know how feasible this is, but I predict Goto is going to challenge Suzuki to a cage match at Wrestle Kingdom. That way, Suzuki Gun can't get in the cage. What an ultimate great place to do a cage match, right? New Japan, because New Japan does everything right. If you have a cage, nobody can get in. That way, Suzuki Gun, the Suzuki Gun goons end up not being able to get in and interfere, and of course, Chaos can come out and keep them away as well. But I like the idea of doing something very unique here. It would add intrigue to the match, Goto versus Suzuki, if that in fact is what happens at Wrestle Kingdom. Like I said, I don't know how feasible it would be for them to do a cage match. They've probably never done a cage match, just like they've never done a 4-way for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. So it would be a big risk here. It would be a definite move towards more Western thinking for New Japan. Like I said, I don't think they've done any cage matches in the past. They certainly haven't done any in the last few years since I have been watching. But I think that would be the only thing. Maybe there's a couple other stipulations, possibly. But Goto challenging for the Never Belt to me right now, just in a straight up one-on-one, just doesn't seem that interesting here. But I think if he challenges him to a cage match now, that adds a little bit of intrigue in my book. What do you think? Let me know on social media or whatever, at Tommy Stryker, at Strong Honor, and let's have a discussion about it. Marty Skrull says he's the champ because he is the best. This is his post-match promo after winning the IWGP Junior title, shocking the world.
Moment. Do you know how long I've worked for to win this belt? I wasn't handed it to me like Will Ospreay because you can just do a bunch of cool flips, a gymnast. I wasn't the golden boy like Kushida that this company has grown. And I'm certainly not Takahashi, some guy who gets cheap pops with a frickin' stuffed cat. The fact is, I'm the junior heavyweight champion because I am the best. And you people might not want to think that. You might not believe that. But this belt suggests that it's true. when I was out there and I said I'd face all three of them, of course I will, because I don't fucking lie. I told everyone I was going to beat Will Ospreay, and that's exactly what I did. Kushida, Takahashi, Will Ospreay, you want this belt that I've worked so hard for? Well, come and get it. I'll face all three of you at the same time. Fatal four-way match! Don't think it's ever been done in this company. Do you know how else has never been done? Me, the villain. I came to New Japan and I've made this company more money than those three guys combined. So that's it. I set the challenge. Fatal four-way match. New Japan, you make the match. Because the end result is going to be just like tonight. The villain will come out on top.
So good stuff from Skrull there, him bragging, saying that he's the biggest draw out of all of them and bringing in the most money than all three of those guys combined, which I honestly think Kushida in Japan is probably a better draw, of course, than Marty Skrull. But yeah, again, just being that cocky heel there. Very good stuff from Marty Skrull. Trent Beretta, after his loss to Kenny Omega, he says, "Oh man, is my back messed up?" But he stresses that he does want another match with Kenny sometime down the road. Very good match between those two there. Juice Robinson revealed his World Tag League partner here in his post-match press conference. Revealed that it was indeed Sami Callihan, his former NXT. I almost said they weren't partners in NXT, but they were in NXT together. He says, "I'm Juice, he's Death. We're going to be Death Juice in the World Tag League." Then we had some really good stuff from Kenny Omega, not only from this post-match interview, but he did another press conference a day or two after the Power Struggle event. But here is his post-match.
You understand that the elite, yes, we rule the world, and you're coming to our big show. You know, we got this thing that we say. We say it, wrestlers still say it. Yeah. Wrestle Kingdom is like our WrestleMania.
Yes.
Well, guess what? And I've been saying this for a while. It's not like that. WrestleMania is your Wrestle Kingdom. And now, by you coming forward and challenging me, you have done just that. Proved everything that I've been saying is true. Chris Jericho, I accept your challenge, and I respect you. You very, very well be the best of all time. But you're not the best at the moment. You never had a 6-star match. Heck, I don't even know if you've had a 5.
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
So yeah, Kenny Omega talking about how he's a better wrestler, how he's the best in the world right now, accepting Chris Jericho's challenge. But then talking about how Wrestle Kingdom is quickly becoming, it certainly indeed, in my book, has become the better in-ring wrestling show. WrestleMania the last few years has really been about the spectacle of it all and just getting as many people on the show as possible. Certainly New Japan has been accused of getting a lot of people on Wrestle Kingdom, but the matches at Wrestle Kingdom have largely been a much better presentation in the ring. The last few years, like I said, than WrestleMania. Then in that the press conference that Kenny Omega did a day or two after Power Struggle, he talks about how he is the biggest draw in the world right now.
You have the one person leading this entire industry. Not just New Japan, not just Japanese pro wrestling, no. Factually, I am the greatest wrestler on the planet. And in fact, I am the top worldwide draw. This isn't me blowing smoke up your ass. This isn't me even bragging. These are facts. There was always this image that we were the minors. There was always this image that we were only big in Japan. And now, Kenny Omega, the cleaner, your god of pro wrestling, will take you to a new height. I will show you what pro wrestling can really be like. I will bring about this change, and I am going to do it while representing your U.S. Championship belt. I represent this.
Points
this
to the
company.
New Japan emblem there.
The greatest wrestling in all of the planet, the greatest weapon in all of pro wrestling, Kenny Omega, is representing your brand. How lucky for you. So at the Tokyo Dome, you will see on your grandest stage a dream match.
So it's interesting there. The way he speaks, it comes off almost heelish, but then he talks about how I represent New Japan. I am your United States champion, and I'm going to show the world what great wrestling is. So come on over, Chris Jericho. You're going to bring more eyeballs to us, and then I'm going to show the world how great I am and how great New Japan is. So really good stuff from Kenny Omega there. And then also him obviously talking about being the best draw worldwide right now. And you can certainly make arguments opposing that with what WWE does, but I think right now WWE, the draw there is the brand and not necessarily any one wrestler. And yes, you could argue back and forth with that and what would happen if, Roman Reigns and John Cena were on the indies. What kind of draw would that be? That's certainly an argument you could make, but right now it's guys like Kenny Omega getting booked for Ring of Honor shows all over the United States that are big shows that are selling out that may not otherwise if it wasn't for Kenny Omega. Certainly that's the reason why I made the 6-hour drive down to Chicago was for Kenny Omega. Yes, the other stuff that was there was great. It was great seeing Marty Scurll. It was great seeing the Young Bucks. It was great going to the AAW show and seeing all those great stars. Zack Sabre Jr., Matt Riddle, Michael Elgin. The list goes on and on. So many great wrestlers that weekend. But the main draw, the reason I bought that Ring of Honor ticket was Kenny Omega. And of course, I don't represent all wrestling fans. I understand that. But I think that is the draw. Certainly that and the Bullet Club aspect. You could make an argument for Cody. Cody's bringing it up in his promos now. But again, I'm thinking most people are going to see Kenny Omega. And certainly Cody Rhodes is over with that Bullet Club crowd. But I like this story here that they're building up in that Kenny's saying he is the best draw and Cody is saying he is the best draw. We're getting them butting heads a little bit on being the elite. So all of this is playing together. All of this is coming together storyline-wise. I listened to Colt Cabana had the original Elite, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, and they talked about how on their YouTube show they have been building up these storylines for months. They talked about the invasion thing that they did with WWE, and that wasn't something that they decided to do last minute. They had built up to that over weeks with the Hangman Page story, the what did they call it? The stooge, the WWE stooge that was holding Hangman Page hostage. That was a thing that they told over a number of weeks, and they had been planning on doing for months because they knew that they were going to be in Vegas, the Ring of Honor guys, and they knew that WWE was going to be not that far away in California. So this was something that they had planned on doing. So you can see that they're planting the seeds in these promos in being the elite, that this Cody versus Kenny Omega thing is going to come to a head sometime probably in 2018, but we don't know that yet. Certainly we've got the Kota Ibushi thing, which I've definitely touched on that with Cody challenging Ibushi at the Tokyo Dome, saying in that promo that Kenny didn't want him to come talk to Kota Ibushi there. So, but those two are definitely going to butt heads at the Tokyo Dome, Ibushi and Cody, that is, and I'm sure that thing will play into the Kenny Omega Bullet Club versus Elite storyline that will be going forward in 2018. I'm very excited, very much looking forward to it. Let's shift some gears now and talk a little Ring of Honor. So yeah, just want to talk this week's Ring of Honor TV, as well as one of the Ring of Honor executives said in an interview this week that Ring of Honor is indeed working on an over-the-top streaming service, looking to get that released sometime early in 2018. I really hope that this is something that they get done. It feels like they're behind the times, running all of these house shows with somewhat meaningless matches going on. Let's have all of that stuff mean something. Let's build up to those shows and have that streaming service mean something. Have the streaming service be reasonably priced. $10 or less a month. Get all your pay-per-views on there. And heck, you could probably stop doing the traditional big pay-per-views and just have those on the streaming service. They can still be bigger shows, but you build up to them as well as building up to the house shows, and have the stuff on those house shows mean something that you're showing on the streaming service. And then you got to get away, you have to make that TV show more relevant, or I'm just going to stop talking about it. But we had a decent show this week for the TV show. So if you stay away from spoilers, the TV show can be decent. A production issue I encountered watching the TV show this week, and I don't know if it was just the one that I watched. Maybe other people had this problem too, but the sound was bad. It wasn't synced up. The sounds were happening before what was taking place on the screen, and it was distorted at times. I've got a couple of sound bites that will demonstrate that here as we talk about the show. But the show opened up with Punishment Martinez versus Josh the Goods Woods. This was the TV title contenders match. The winner of this will go on to a 4-way for the TV title at Final Battle in December on the 15th. Punishment Martinez won this one with the South of Heaven chokeslam. Not much of a match to speak of there. Then Jay Briscoe says he reluctantly tells Mark that he will support his brother Mark in his TV title match later today. Of course, Mark has the dislocated elbow. He doesn't care. He wants his TV title shot that he earned anyway. Of course, he goes out there to have the match with Jay Briscoe in his corner as his manager. Like in the promo, Mark says, "You want to be my manager?" He says, "Yeah, I'll be your manager." And Jay was very serious. He was like, "Yeah, man, you know how I feel about this, but I will support you. We are brothers." So they go out there, they get ready to have the match, they do all the introductions, and then right away, Jay throws in the towel. The ref rings the bell. There is no match. Mark loses and Kenny King retains, and so Mark has to go home and mend his injury. But this is playing into a story that's going to play out here, where it looks like we're going to have the Briscoes butting heads at some point in the future. Or he goes away, mends his injury, comes back, and they just be a tag team again, which is certainly a possibility as well. But that would be pretty bad storytelling if they didn't have these two at least have some kind of butting of heads. But they certainly could tell a story where Jay Briscoe convinces Mark that he needs to go back to being the tag team, and they in fact do that, and they maybe come back as a heel tag team, which could be interesting as well. Mark Briscoe, I'm sorry, I just talked about that. After that goings on or whatever, Punishment Martinez comes out and he attacks Kenny King, Shane Taylor, Jonathan Gresham, Silas Young, Cheeseburger. They all come out. They get into a big brawl. Then Kenny King hits a big dive onto everyone, taking everyone out at ringside. So those other guys that came running out, Shane Taylor, Jonathan Gresham, Silas Young, Cheeseburger, those guys will all be facing each other in qualifying matches over the next few weeks to determine who's going to be in the 4-corner survival match. Sorry, it's not a fatal 4-way. It's a 4-corner survival match for the TV title at Final Battle. Then it was Coleman's Pulpit with Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor says, I will do anything, he'll do anything he has to do to make a better life for himself and his family, whether that's cheating in the ring, taking payoffs, whatever, being a hitman. Coleman's Pulpit's kind of boring. I was actually more interested in the crawl of tweets along the bottom as I was watching this. Then the main event from this week, the Best Friends, Chucky T and Beretta taking on The Addiction. Fun comedy spots early in the match from the Best Friends. War Machine come out and stop Christopher Daniels from bringing a chair into the ring right before the finish. Then it was the Best Friends hitting the awful waffle, Chucky T hitting the awful waffle over Christopher Daniels for the win in the match. So it will be the Best Friends versus the Motor City Machine Guns, because this was a number 1 contenders match. Forgot to mention that for the tag title. So yeah, like I said, Best Friends versus Motor City Machine Guns at Final Battle, provided no other teams get involved here. But it looks like Addiction versus War Machine is a match that they will probably do because Addiction had interrupted War Machine a couple of times from opportunities, and so War Machine coming out and stopping Christopher Daniels from using a chair in the match, and then Ray Rowe getting a cheap shot on Christopher Daniels. I forgot to mention that behind the referee going into that finish as well. So a bit of a dirty finish for the Best Friends there. So War Machine. The Addiction has an argument with the skullduggery going on there that they could possibly be entered into that tag match, making it a 3-way at Final Battle as well. So next week on the show, we're going to get Hangman Page versus I wrote down Adam Page versus Hangman Page. It is in fact Hangman Page versus Dalton Castle. During they did a promo on that, and Page talks about what he's going to do to Dalton.
Dalton, you'll never get to kiss this ring because you're going to fall victim to my big old... Whoa!
Your big old rope, right, Paige? That's what
my
you're
big
gonna say?
old rope. Dalton Castle, you won't make it to Final Battle.
So, again, a little bit of comedy there. They always talk about on being the elite, or allude to on being the elite, the whatever Hangman Page is working with in his shorts there, in his trunks. So we'll leave it at that. Jay Lethal cut a promo on the show saying that he wants back in the title picture. He was one of the few guys that beat Cody earlier in the year. Then Marty Scurll comes out and says he wants the best competition. That's why he signed to Ring of Honor. He wants to face Jay Lethal, but not this new Jay Lethal, the old villainous Jay Lethal that will take shortcuts and will be a bit dirty, which is an odd thing to want. Why would you want a guy to cheat against you? But whatever. He wants to face the villainous Lethal. Lethal says he doesn't have to cheat, but Scurll has to cheat to win. He says Lethal's good enough that he doesn't have to. But then Scurll, he strikes a little verbal low blow on Jay Lethal.
You don't want to be that guy? Well, Jay, if you don't want to be that guy anymore, you might as well put that clown costume with the tassels back on, because at least that stick was entertaining. Dig it!
Yeah, Scurll with like I said, a verbal low blow. Scurll says Ring of Honor because he's such a draw, brings in so much money. Ring of Honor is allowing him to handpick his opponent for Final Battle. Lethal accepts the challenge and says, what is he? He says, be careful what you wish for, because at Final Battle I might show you a thing or two and out-villain you, basically, at Final Battle. So that fun stuff from Ring of Honor this week. But now finally I want to get into what happened at Rev Pro, a couple of nights of Global Wars. Like I was saying earlier, I really want to encourage people to go ahead and subscribe to the service at least for a month and give these guys a chance. So I'm going to stay spoiler free as much as I can here to encourage you guys to go and watch the matches. So undercard, some good stuff there. El Desperado and Matt Riddle had a decent 3-star match. Naito versus Marty Scurll had a pretty good 3.25-star match. Scurll bumps the ref in the match. They get a near fall. He gets a near fall with the mousetrap after using the umbrella and other skullduggery. Bushi's out there distracting Scurll from hitting the crossface chicken wing. Fun stuff in there. Yuji Nagata versus Zach Gibson in a good match. Then the story of the show, Tomohiro Ishii versus Keith Lee. Bask in Keith Lee's glory and bask in this awesome 4-star match. So the story here was Ishii fighting from underneath and gradually getting the better of Lee, trying to hit that brainbuster suplex throughout the match. Like I said, a fantastic match, 4 stars. Go ahead and watch it. Main event here was Minoru Suzuki versus Zack Sabre Jr. Taking on Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. taking on Hirooki Goto and Ospreay. So Suzuki Gun versus Chaos here. And this one was a fun match, and I am going to spoil this one a little bit because it plays into night 2. In the finish for this one, Ospreay does pin the champion, Zack Sabre Jr., sells his leg after the match, and this plays into what happens on night 2 because Zack Sabre has to defend the British Heavyweight Championship versus Will Ospreay. I think I said that wrong. Ospreay does pin the champion, Zack Sabre, in the match. So just in case I said that wrong there. But a fun main event playing up to what happens night 2. Now, night 2 of Global Wars, I will admit I have not had a chance to see the entire show yet, but I did see these 3 matches that I want to talk about here. Tomohiro Ishii, night 2, after that grueling match with Matt Riddle, took on Dave Mastiff, a name I've heard, a guy I have heard quite a bit about, but I had never seen before. If you're familiar with NXT, Dave Mastiff is like a taller, more credible Otis Dozovic, if that makes any sense. But a fun 3-star match here. Good stuff. Then Minoru Suzuki versus Matt Riddle. What a fun match this is. Kind of a dream match here. A decent match, just over 3 stars. I gave it 3 1/4. But yeah, fun stuff. Early grappling quickly leads into a strike battle after people refuse to break clean on the ropes. Riddle gets the advantage in the early strike battle. Suzuki takes the fight outside, of course, where he throws Riddle into the chairs. El Desperado gets involved. Riddle fights from underneath, definitely playing the babyface in the match. Suzuki flicking off the crowd, being a complete dick, as he is great at doing. Riddle hits a bro to sleep late, and then goes into a deadlift German suplex and multiple submission attempts. Just a fun back and forth between these two. Riddle showing that he can handle himself in the striking battle and the submission wrestling back and forth. So a good styles matchup between these two and a fun match. Then the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Will Ospreay. Stay off Twitter, guys. The day after this happened, Will Ospreay spoiled this one for me on Twitter. And I'm like, come on, the VOD isn't even out yet. I haven't had a chance to watch it. And it's not like this was a huge crowd in there watching this match. So, like I said, try to avoid Twitter spoilers, and I will not spoil the match here, but my God, really good match. I gave it 4 1/4. I would have gone probably higher, maybe all the way to 5 if there was a bit of a lull early to mid match where it was just Zack Sabre fucking just taking Ospreay to school with submission stuff. But again, you need that stuff in matches like this. That adds to the story. Very good stuff. Zack Sabre, kind of the story of this match is that every time Will Ospreay gets a little fancy and tries to do some of his fancy flipping stuff, Zack Sabre has an answer for it. He counters a lot of his fancy flipping stuff. They do a fun snapmare back and forth where they keep countering each other's snapmare, and then Zack Sabre Jr. Hits a unique neck snapper. Zack Sabre Jr. counters the springboard and hangs him on the top rope, then hooks his neck on the bottom rope and kicks him. So yeah, Zack Sabre Jr. Ospreay goes for a springboard, then Zack Sabre hangs him on the top rope, hooks his neck on the bottom rope, and then kicks the rope. Very unique stuff. Like I said, great match. Go ahead, look it up. Incredible late back and forth sequences where they're going through submissions and pinning combinations. Just really, really good stuff. Just unique stuff you don't see a lot of. Again, Rev Pro, their production, I should mention this. It is high def, but their audio is not always the greatest. It's hard to hear the crowd sometimes, hard to feel the power of chops and things like that. You can hear them, but it's definitely better audio quality other places. And then the announcing tends to be pretty decent, but anytime they get really excited and tend to get to the shouting, the does get a bit distorted. So be aware of that as you go in. It's not the best audio to video, but for what it is, being a small indie out of the UK, the wrestling quality is very, very good. So you can almost overcome those audio issues, or maybe you're a person that doesn't mind watching a wrestling match with a muted TV. Certainly that's an option as well. So like I said, it's not the best, but it's not horrible either. I've definitely seen worse But for some people, that can really bug them. So that could be something that takes away from the experience. But like I said, I very highly recommend checking out these matches. So there's so much great wrestling out there. I wish I had time to check out more myself. I really wish I had time for Progress and other indies. I'm going to be going to an indie show, or hopefully if I can get off of work in time. I have such a crazy work schedule. We've got a first wrestling show coming up at a VFW, and I think Tommy Dreamer is going to be there. So I'm looking forward to that. So much good stuff coming up, and I like I said, I wish I could follow more, but at least I'm covering some of the. I shouldn't say I don't cover stuff. I talk about it because I'm a fan. I'm not a member of the media or whatever. I certainly don't consider myself that. Even though this is, I guess, a podcast is technically part of the media, I don't consider myself a journalist, I should say. All right, let's wrap up the show with the Kojima tweet. Now it's time for
the Satoshi Kojima Tweet of the Week.
Follow Kojima on Twitter at cozy_lariat. Or if you're not a Twitter person, just tune in every week and I'll give you one of his fun tweets. Hello to foreign wrestling fans. I am fine. I want to fight a lot, not only in Japan, but also in foreign countries. See you again. So follow me on Twitter at Tommy Striker, spell Striker with a Y. Follow this show at Strong Honor. Go to StrongHonor.com for other episodes of this podcast, and you can check out the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast.com and look for the Best Pro Wrestling Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Talk about WWE, NXT. This week we'll be talking about NXT TakeOver Houston and Survivor Series. All that stuff there with Joe and Taco. Check out that podcast there. That's going to do it for Strong Honor this week. Bye!
It's wonderful! Listen up, wrestling fans!
Los Ingobernable de Japón. Hasta jueves. Adiós.